Record 11. No, I can't. Let it be without headings. Evening. It was somewhat foggy. The sky is covered with a milky golden tissue, and one cannot see what is there beyond on the heights. The ancients knew that the greatest bored skeptic, their God, lived there. We know that crystalline, blue, naked, indecent nothing is there. I do not know any more what is there. I have learned too many things of late. Knowledge, self confident knowledge, which is sure that it is faultless, is faith. I had firm faith in myself. I believed that I knew all about myself. But then I look in the mirror, and for the first time in my life, yes, for the first time in my life, I see clearly, precisely, consciously, and with surprise, I see myself as some him. I am he, frowning, black, straight brows, between them like a scar. There is a vertical wrinkle. Was there that wrinkle before? Steel gray eyes encircled by the shadow of a sleepless night. And behind that steel, I understand. I never before knew what there was behind that steel. From there, this there is at once so near and so infinitely distant. I look at myself, at him, and I know surely that he with his straight brows is a stranger, that I meet him here for the first time in my life. The real I is not he. No, period. All this is nonsense, and all these foolish emotions are only delirium, the result of last night's poisoning. Poisoning with what? With a sip of that green poison, or with her? It matters little. I write all this merely in order to demonstrate how strangely the precise and sharp human reason may become confused. This reason, strong enough to make infinity, which the ancients feared so much, understandable by means of the switch buzzes. Number R13. Well, I am even glad. Alone I should. 20 minutes later. On the plane of this paper, in a world of two dimensions, these lines follow each other, but in another world I am losing the sense for figures. 20 minutes, perhaps 200 or 200,000, it seems so strange. Quietly, deliberately, measuring every word to write down my adventure with R. Imagine yourself sitting down at your own bed, crossing your legs, watching curiously how you yourself shrivel in the very same bed. My mental state is similar to that. When R13 came in, I was perfectly quiet and normal. I began with sincere admiration to tell him how wonderfully he succeeded in verifying the death sentence of that insane man, and that his poem, more than anything else, had smothered and annihilated the transgressor of the law. More than that, I said, if I were ordered to prepare a mathematical draught of the machine of the well-doer, I should undoubtedly put on that draught some of your verses. Suddenly I see R's eyes becoming more and more opaque, his lips acquiring a gray tint. What is the matter? What? Well, merely that I am dead sick of it. Everybody keeps on. The death sentence, the death sentence. I want to hear no more of it. You understand? I do not want. He became serious, rubbing his neck. That little valise filled with luggage which I cannot understand. A silence. There. He found something in that little valise of his, removed it, unwrapped it, spread it out. His eyes became covered with the varnish of laughter. He began, I'm writing something for your integral. Yes, I am. He was himself again, bubbling, sprinkling lips, words splashing like a fountain. You see, it is the ancient legend of the paradise, like a fountain. That legend referred to us of today, did it not? Yes. Only think of it. Think of it a moment. There were two in paradise, and the choice was offered to them happiness without freedom or freedom without happiness. No other choice. Tertium non datur. They, fools that they were, chose freedom. Naturally, they longed for centuries afterwards for the fetters. Naturally, they longed for centuries afterwards for the fetters of yore. This was the meaning of their world weariness, Lutzschmerz, for centuries. And only we found a way to regain happiness. No, listen, follow me. The ancient God and we, side by side at the same table. Yes, we helped God, definitely and finally to defeat the devil. It was he, the devil, who led people to transgression, to taste pernicious freedom. He, the cunning serpent, and we came along, planted a boot on his head, and squash. Done with him. Paradise again. We return to the simple mindedness and innocence of Adam and Eve. No more meddling with good and evil and all that. Everything is simple again, heavenly, childishly simple. The well doer, the machine, the cube, the giant gas bell, the guardians. All these are good. All this is magnificent, beautiful, noble, lofty, crystalline, pure. For all this preserves our non freedom, that is, our happiness. In our place, those ancients would indulge in discussions, deliberations, etc. They would break their heads trying to make out what was moral or unmoral, but we, well, in short, these are the highlights of my little paradise poem. What do you think of it? And above all, the style is most solemn, pious. Understand me? Nice little idea, is it not? Do you understand? Of course I understood. I remember my thoughts at that moment. His appearance is nonsensical and lacking in symmetry. Yet what an orderly working mind he has. This made him dear to me. That is to the real me. I still insist that I, or before is the real I. My I of late is certainly only an illness. Apparently R read my thought in my face. He put his hand on my shoulder and laughed. Oh, you, Adam. By the way, about Eve. He searched for something in his pocket, took out a little book, turned over a few leaves, and said, for the day after tomorrow, oh no, 2 days from now, 90 has a pink check on you. How about it? As before, you want her to? Of course, of course. All right, then I'll tell her. You see, she's herself. You see, she herself is very bashful. What a fun story. You see, for me, she has only a pink check affection. But for you, and you did not even come to tell us how a fourth member sneaked into our triangle. Who is it? Repent, sinner. Come on. A curtain rose inside me. Rustle of silk, green bottle, lips. Without any reason whatever, I exclaimed, oh, why didn't I restrain myself at that moment? Tell me, R, did you ever have the opportunity to try nicotine or alcohol? R sucked in his lips, looked at me from under his brows. I distinctly heard his thoughts, friend though he is yet, and he answered, what shall I say? Strictly speaking, no. But I know a woman. I 330, I cried. What? You too are was full of laughter. He chuckled, ready to splash over. My mirror was hanging in such a way that in order to see R clearly, I had to turn and look across the table. From my armchair, I could see now only my own forehead and eyebrow. Then I, the real I, suddenly saw the mirror a broken. Then I, the real I, suddenly saw in the mirror a broken, quivering line of brow. I, the real I, heard suddenly a wild, disgusting cry. What? What does that also mean? What does that also mean? I demand. Wildly parted negro lips, eyes bulging, I, the real I, grasped my other wild, hairy, heavily breathing self forcibly. I, the real I, said to him, to R, in the name of the well-doer, please forgive me. I am very sick. I don't sleep. I don't know what is the matter with me. A swiftly passing smile appeared on the thick lips. Yes, yes, I understand. I understand. I am familiar with all this, theoretically, of course. Goodbye. At the door, he turned around like a little black ball, came back to the table, and put a book upon it. This is my latest book. I came to bring it to you. Almost forgot. Goodbye. Be like a splash. The little ball rolling out. I am alone. Or, to be more exact, I am tate a tate with that other self. I sit in the armchair and having crossed my legs, I watch curiously from some indefinite there how I myself am shriveling in my bed. Why, oh, why is it that for 3 years O and I were so friendly together, and now suddenly one word only about the other female, about I 330, and is it possible that that insanity called love and jealousy does exist not only in the idiotic books of the ancients? What seems most strange is that I, equations, formulae, figures, and suddenly this, I can understand it. I can't. Tomorrow I shall go to R and tell him, no, it isn't true. I shall not go. Neither tomorrow nor day after tomorrow, nor ever. I can't, I do not want to see him. This is the end. Our triangle is broken up. I am alone. It is evening. There is a light fog. The sky is covered by a thin, milky, golden tissue. If I only knew what is there higher. If I only knew who I am, which I am I. Record 12, the delimitation of the infinite angel. Meditations on poetry. I continue to believe that I shall recover, that I may recover. I slept very well, no dreams or any other symptoms of disease. Dear old 90 will come tomorrow. Everything will again be simple, regular, and limited like a circle. I am not afraid of this word limited. The work of the highest faculty of man, judgment, is always directed toward the constant limiting of the infinite, toward the breaking up of the infinite into comfortably digestible portions, differentials. This is what gives divine beauty to my element, mathematics, and it is exactly this beauty that other female lacks. But this last thought of mine is only an accidental mental association. These thoughts swarmed in my mind while I was listening to the regular, rhythmic sounds of the underground railway. Silently, I followed the rhythms of its wheels and recited to myself R's verses from the book which he gave me yesterday, and I felt that behind me someone was leaning over my shoulder and looking at the open pages. I did not turn around, but with the corner of my eye I noticed pink ears, spread like wings, the double curved like the letter. It was he, but I did not want to disturb him. I feigned not to have noticed him. How he came in, I do not know. I did not see him when I got into the car. This incident, insignificant in itself, had an especially good effect upon me. It invigorated me, I should say. It is pleasant to feel that somebody's penetrating eye is watching you from behind your shoulder, lovingly guarding you from making the most minute mistake, from the most minute incorrect step. It may seem to you too sentimental, but I see in all this the materialization of the dream of the ancients about a guardian angel. How many things which the ancients had only dreams are materialized in our life. At the moment when I became aware of the presence of the guardian angel, behind me I was enjoying a poem entitled Happiness. I think I am not mistaken when I say that it is a piece of rare beauty and depth of thought. Here are the first four lines: two times two eternal lovers, inseparable in passion four, most flaming lovers in the world, eternally welded two times two. And the rest is in the same vein. On the wisdom and the eternal happiness of the multiplication table, every poet is inevitably a Columbus. America existed before Columbus for ages, but only Columbus found it. The multiplication table existed before R13 for ages, but only R13 could find in the virginal forest of figures a new El Dorado. Is it not true? Is there any happiness more wise and cloudless in this wonderful world? Steel may rust. The ancient God created the ancient man in essence, the man capable of mistakes, ergo, the ancient God himself made a mistake. The multiplication table is more wise and more absolute than the ancient God. For the multiplication table never, do you understand, never makes mistakes. There are no more fortunate and happy people than those who live according to the correct, eternal laws of the multiplication table. No hesitation, no errors. There is but one truth, and there is but one path to it. And that truth is 4. And that path is 2 times 2. Would it not seem preposterous for these happily multiplied twos suddenly to begin thinking of some foolish kind of freedom? In essence, is it not clear or a mistake? It seems undeniable, axiomatic, that R13 knows how to grasp the most fundamental, the most. At that moment again I felt, first near the back of my head, then on my left ear, the warm, tender breath of the guardian angel. He apparently noticed that the book on my lap had long been closed, and that my thoughts were somewhere very far. Well, I am ready this minute to spread before him the pages of my brain. This gives one such a feeling of tranquillity and joy. I remember I even turned around and gazed long and questioningly into his eyes, but either he did not understand or he did not want to understand me. He did not ask me anything. The only thing left for me is to relate everything to you, my unknown readers. You are to me now as dear and as near and as far out of reach as he was at that moment. This was my way of thinking. From the part of the whole, R13 is that part. The whole is our institution of state poets and authors. I thought, how was it that the ancients did not notice the utter absurdity of their prose and poetry, the gigantic, magnificent power of the artistic word was spent by them in vain? It is really droll. Anybody wrote whatever happened to come into his head. It was as foolish as the fact that in the days of the ancients the ocean blindly splashed at the shore for 24 hours without interruption or use. The millions of kilogram meters of energy which were hidden in the waves were used only for the stimulation of sweethearts. We obtained electricity from the amorous whisper of the waves. We made a domestic animal out of the sparkling, foaming rabbit one, and in the same manner we domesticated and harnessed the wild element of poetry. Now poetry is no longer the unpardonable whistling of nightingales, but a state service. Poetry is a commodity. Our famous mathematical norms, without them in our schools, how could we love so sincerely and dearly? Our four rules of arithmetic. In thorns, this is a classical image. The guardians are thorns about a rose, thorns that guard our tender state flower from coarse hands, whose heart could resist, could remain indifferent to see and hear the lips of our children recite like a prayer. A bad boy caught the rose with his hand, but the thorn of steel pricked him like a needle. The bad boy cried and ran home, etc., etc., and the daily odes to the well-doer, who, having read them, will not bow piously before the unselfish service of that number of all numbers, and the dreadful red flowers of court sentences, and the immortal tragedy, those who come late to work, and the popular book stanzas on sex hygiene. Our whole life, in all its complexity and beauty, is thus stamped forever in the gold of words. Our poets do not soar any longer in the unknown. They have descended to earth, and they march with us, keeping step to the accompaniment of our austere and mechanical march of the musical state tower. Their lyre is the morning rubbing sound of the electric toothbrushes and the threatening cracks of the electric sparks coming from the machine of the well-doer, and the magnificent echo of the hymn of the United States, and the intimate ringing of the crystalline, shining wash basin, and the stimulating rustle of the falling curtains, and the joyous voices of the newest cookbooks, and the almost imperceptible whisper of the street membranes. Our gods are here below. They are with us in the bureau, in the kitchen, in the shops, in the restrooms. The gods have become like us, ergo, we have become like gods. And we shall come to you, my unknown reader, on another planet. We shall come to you to make your life as godlike, as rational, and as correct as ours.